webinar on Reforming and Reformation Day, this beautiful Saturday, October 29th. There was a little timing snafu. Palestine went to daylight savings time at 2 in the morning. But as you know, the political situation is tough. So Jerusalem's still an hour behind. So I'm really glad that all our participants are here, and really grateful for our audience as well. My name is Eamon, and I am the Content Development Associate of Opportunity Palestine. I work very closely with Sam E. She's doing the tech for this webinar. And we're here to help tell stories of the students of the ELCJHL schools. So our first suggestion is for some viewing instructions. So we suggest, because it's a slideshow, that you do side-by-side mode by clicking on the top right of your screen. Usually do side-by-side gallery. Of course, it's your choice. But I think that'll just be the best viewing experience for you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Opportunity Palestine. So we're a 501c3 organization headquartered in Michigan, and our mission is to sustain the educational institutions of the ELCJHL through development and awareness building in the United States. We believe that the ELCJHL's vision for justice and peace is essential to overcoming the challenges facing the communities of the Holy Land. So we have a board from all over the country and the world, actually, and in various synods of the ELCA, and each of our board members works to help tell the story of the schools of the ELCJHL. And so it's sometimes a challenge to get everyone in the same room, but we usually manage to stay on the same page through technology. So I will tell a little bit about the ELCJHL schools now. So we support 5 schools through our fundraising and awareness building. The first is Dar al-Kalima in Bethlehem. The second is the Evangelical Lutheran School of Hope in Ramallah. We usually say, in short, the School of Hope. The third is the Evangelical Lutheran School in Beit Sahor, the Environmental Education Center at the top of Beit Jala, and the Mahabba Nursery and Preschool in Jerusalem. So I was a volunteer through the Young Adults in Global Mission Program. I served at Dar al-Kalima in Bethlehem. My colleague Sam served at the ELS in Beit Sahor. And the mission of these schools their aim is to help children from all walks of life with disregard to gender, religion, ethnicity, color, or ability to pay school fees, receive quality, holistic education in a nurturing Christian environment, which will inevitably impact their lives and communities in ways that will make a difference. So it's important to remember that although the schools are run by the ELCJHL, the majority of the students in the schools are actually Muslim. They have an interfaith curriculum, and Christians and Muslims attend school together, which is a part of the mission of the schools and a part of the peace building that happens in the schools in Palestine. So, okay. So I would like to invite Eva Azar on to tell a little bit about how the Reformation Day event on Wednesday went in the ELCJHL schools. So welcome, Eva. And the floor is yours.
Hi. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening from Jerusalem. This is Eva Azar, the Deputy Director of Education at the Evangelical Lutheran Church in the Holy Land. I would give you a brief description about our fascinating day, the Reformation Day, on last Wednesday, October 26th, 2022, at 8:30 a.m. The 8th grade students from the 4 Lutheran schools started the Reformation Day event at Dar al-Kalima School. The bishop, pastors, education office director, Dr. Charlie, and I, the school's administration and teachers were present to celebrate as well. The School of Hope in Ramallah had to do its own program in its school due to the bad political situation and the closure of roads between Ramallah and Bethlehem district. The 4 Lutheran schools started the program in a nice opening ceremony. Students performed musical shows, drama plays, and sang Reformation hymns. At 9:45 a.m., the students were divided into 4 groups wearing their different colored t-shirts, themed with Martin Luther's rose and quote. There were 4 types of activities in which students rotated to participate in. In the first activity, after watching a documentary about Martin Luther's life, the students were asked questions about the documentary and received prizes for right answers. The second activity was an art project in which students had to make Martin Luther's rose and add quotes to it. The third activity is a sports competitive activity. And lastly, the fourth activity included Reformation-themed debates. The beautiful day ended with a merry gathering amongst the 8th graders, and the delicious lunch was served for everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you for all your efforts to get the students here and to organize these activities in the schools. Eva has a big job between all the schools. So next I'd like to invite the Reverend Rodney Said from the Lutheran Church of Hope. Rodney is going to speak a little bit about the event at the School of Hope. As you heard from Eva, the event they were not able to go to Bethlehem due to the political situation. So Rodney, please introduce yourself a little bit, tell us about your background, and then tell us about the event.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and good morning and good afternoon for everyone. And thank you. My name is Rodney Said. I'm actually originally from Jerusalem, so Redeemer Lutheran Church is my home church. I'm serving currently at Hope Evangelical Lutheran Church in Ramallah, and I'm also the youth pastor for the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Jordan and the Holy Land. So yeah, as you heard, that because of the political situation and the closures and everything is happening for the last few weeks, we were not able to join the rest of the schools in Bethlehem to celebrate the Reformation Day. So we had to come and organize our own Reformation Day in Ramallah just one day before the event, because we had to be flexible the last moment. So we tried to do something similar to what students would usually do in Bethlehem together. So students came wearing their t-shirts with the Luther rose on it and with the quote from Martin Luther. We started the day by small short prayer, and then we went into hearing about the background is the Reformation, about the history of Martin Luther. We watched a video on it, and about a 4-minute video. I think it was different than the one they showed in Bethlehem, so we tried to do something different, but it was the same ideas. We also sang the hymns, the one that all Lutherans around the world sing, Almighty Fortress is our God, and then we sang a couple more songs that that youth know, and after that we went into an interview. Actually, Myrna as well did the interview. It was an interview with Martin Luther to hear about Martin Luther's life, and it was quite funny. And after that, we did the Luther Rose as they would do it in Bethlehem, and it was the students enjoyed it. And then we had some activities, some competitions, sport competitions with the sport teacher, and that was it. It was a really nice day. I think students enjoyed it. We would love to be with the rest of the students in Bethlehem, but unfortunately, hopefully next year.
Shukran, Rodney. Thank you very much for sharing with us. This was in our most recent email. Just the fact that the School of Hope was able to pull off a Reformation Day with just one day of notice, I think is a testament to the leadership cultivated by the ELCJHL in both the administrators, teachers, clergy, and students, of course. So, as you know, the situation in Palestine can require one to adapt very quickly, and the ELCJHL is really at the forefront of many educational initiatives in Palestine, one of which, and I'm sure that Reverend Saeed could speak to this more later, but is the interfaith education, and that they're one of the first schools to develop their own religious classes, which include an interfaith component and a component for their Christian students. So just to speak to that quickly before I introduce one of our moderators who unfortunately lost her voice today. But before we do that, we're going to show a video of the schools that was made by Maddie Froyland. Maddie is also an alum of the Young Adults in Global Mission program, currently serving as the communications director or assistant for the ELCJHL. So please, Sam, you can start the video. Thanks.
الكلمة يا صاحبي دوما بالبيت الرحبي مسلم ومسيحي بالحب روحك يا إلهنا يروينا تعال يا رب بروحك المس أراضينا فلسطين عطشانة بروحك يا إلهنا يروينا ونشوف حقك وسلامنا بتبركك لاهوتي بارع بيكون ترجم إنجيلنا الموصول لاهوتي بارع بيكون ترجم إنجيلنا الموصول أوف 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 يحيون بنعمة خالقنا إخوانا في الزمن الصعب.
قد واجه لوثر ذي الأخطاء كم عانى من ظلم جاء وتحدث عن إيمان الإصلاح يهتم كثيرا بالإنسان عفوا إخلاصا وسماح. قد قال كلاما ردده افهم من دينك كل صواب واستخدم عقلا تحمله واستمتع بحلال طاب.
ولأجل الدين مع الدنيا
All right, thank you, and thanks to Maddie for creating that video. It was certainly nice to see some of my old students and colleagues when I worked at Dawud Kalima. So we advertised this webinar that one of the alumna of Darul Kalima would be moderating the questions with the students, and unfortunately she lost her voice just yesterday. Perhaps the daylight savings time threw off her voice. I'm not sure what happened. Tamar Haddad is with us today, but she will not be moderating because she can't speak very well. So I still want to give her a shout out and just thank her for the work that she did to help develop this webinar. So Tamar is an alumna of Darul Kalima in Bethlehem. She's also a graduate of KALU in 2021. She's a leader in the church. She was a ELCA International Women Leaders Scholar. And most recently, she's an author of a book called The Future of Palestine, How Discrimination Hinders Change. So if you haven't had a chance to check out her book, you can find it there online. And send some healing wishes to Tamar, that she can find her voice. Literally, she certainly has found her voice metaphorically in her various pursuits over the years. So I am going to jump into the questions with the students. We have 3 students today. We have Nimr, Mirna, and Jamil, who will be telling a little bit about, Reformation, the meaning of Reformation to them, and some of their lives as students. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, so my first question is going to be for Pastor Rodney, and then we're going to jump into the students' answers. So Pastor Rodney, can you tell us a little bit about what Reformation is like in your context?
Mm-hmm. So when I started thinking about the question and to think about the Reformation here in Palestine, I kind of had some hard time thinking about it because, as you know, here in Palestine, Reformation can be sometimes feel impossible. Everything seems just so hard to change. We want to stay the same thing. We have a set of rules that we have to follow. But Reformation is such an important thing here in Palestine. It's about renewing ourselves. It's about changing and not giving up in a situation that might seem hopeless situation and hard to get out. So in Palestine, Reformation is essential to our existence. So here, when we teach, I've been speaking to the students for the last few years about how important it is to talk about reforming the selves, to talk about how important it is to speak up, to look at what surrounds us, to see the injustice in our societies, in our world, to talk about topics that the society won't talk about, like gender justice, talk about other issues that faces the students, not to be afraid to talk about. Reforming the self, in my opinion, creates more opportunities. So here in Palestine, when we teach the students to reform themselves, actually they are not stuck in their own ideas or the ideas that they've been taught to, or the way that they've been living just because it is this way. So when we talk about reforming the selves, it's about challenging the situation and see what is best or what should be instead of this bad situation. So here, it's always important to reform, to think outside the box, because we are created to be unique, to be like the salt and the light, to be always like Martin Luther. He didn't just take what he received as it is. He saw some gaps. He saw something that was wrong about what was given or what was happening at the moment. So he challenged the situation. He was confident that things were not going in the right direction. And today in Palestine, sometimes when we live our daily lives, sometimes we say, oh, it's normal to go just through the checkpoint. It's normal to not be able to go to Jerusalem for students, or not normal to go, it's normal not to go to the beach. And sometimes we're happy about getting a permit or something small, but that's not normal. So we should challenge this. We should create more opportunities. We should always look for to live in a better way. So that's a bit. So in the Reformation Day on Wednesday, I challenge actually the students to think critically about how to reform themselves. How can we reform the society around us? Because I believe that change starts when we think critically about the situation we are living in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pastor Rodney. I'm going to ask this question to Nimr. Nimr, what is Reformation like in your context?
I think Reformation means to move out of bad habits like racism and bullying and law violations. And if we moved out of these things, they will never happen again in Palestinian context. And gender discrimination.
Okay, thank you, Nimr. Mirna, can you tell us a little bit about what Reformation is like in your context?
Reformation in Palestine context has to look at all aspects of the society and how they are linked and build on each other. It's the way to make things better for people, for the religions and society level to improve their lives. So the focus has to be on religion, can improve the society and the well-being of people.
Thank you, Mirna. Mirna, are you able to turn on your camera?
Yes, I'm able to.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Jamil, I wanted to ask you as well, what is Reformation like in your context?
Yeah, Reformation in my context, Palestine, is a huge thing to me. And what do I mean by huge thing? I mean fixing our society. Like we fix from littering, bullying, trash talking, and racism, and other negative mean things. I can say a lot of things that need reformation here in my context.
Could you share a little bit more, some other things, or about what needs reformation? Perhaps the littering, or
those negative things. I can say So yesterday there was a fight between the Muslims and the Christians in the church, or like next to the church. So, and this fight is gonna like include to be racist between Muslims and Christians. And that's not what we want to be. That's not what we want to do, or a thing like that. So that's why we got to stop this thing. So we got to refix this thing. And how are we going to refix this thing? By being peace with Muslims and Christians, and no fights, no other trash talking or something.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it's important to sometimes realize that conflict is a part of life, but it depends on how we deal with the conflict. And if you deal with it violently or with trash talking, it can make it worse. And if you find a way to build peace between groups of people, it can help the conflict. Do you have any ideas for what might help, these two groups that were fighting in your school to make peace or to get along better?
Yeah, so there's a group called mediators. This group lowers the amount of fights in school. Or let's talk about school more, because the mediators, I'm in the mediator team. So I lower the amount of fights in school. So what do? We bring like the two persons that fought with each other, and like talk to them, make them apologize to each other. Why you did this? Why did you do that? And yeah, and then we solve this problem, and that's how we solve fights.
Well, that's very impressive, Jamil. I just finished a master's degree, and I just learned how to do mediation, and I'm 29 years old, and so you're well ahead of me. So keep up the mediation. It's a very valuable skill. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our next question, and I'm gonna ask this one to Mirna first. Mirna, can you tell us what extracurricular programs do you participate in, and how do these activities help you reform yourself? Mirna, you're muted.
As you know, there's two kind of activities, programs like theoretical and practical. Theoretical like school morning broadcasting, theoretical like journalism, school board, Bible studies, practical like Palestinian dabke, awarenesses activities, drama, music, art. And these activities affect on myself by positive and healthy relationships with the teachers, increase my self-confidence, improve my social skills, enhance me mentally and physically, active develop my engagement with other classes and kids.
Thank you, Mirna. Do you have a favorite activity of the ones that you participate in?
Yes, drama.
And why is that your favorite
The Bible
activity?
studies. I love hearing Bible studies.
Okay, and can you tell us a little bit about why those are your favorite activities?
Drama is my hobby. Like
okay.
I do it every year. And Bible study, I love hearing about God.
Okay. Who's your teacher for a Bible study?
Rodney, like in the morning.
Oh.
For the classes in the school is Miss Maysoon. I don't think you know her.
Okay, great. So your teacher's here in this webinar, so there's a little pressure maybe. I hope that's okay with you.
No, it's okay.
You're doing great. I just wanted to stop here and just compliment the students on their English. As you know, none of these, as far as I know, none of these students have lived in an English-speaking country. So the level at which they speak English is truly impressive, and that's another testament to the teachers and the students of the schools. So Nimit, I wanted to ask you as well, what extracurricular programs do you participate in, and how do these activities help you reform yourself?
So I'm in the environmental club, and before I was even a member in the environmental club, I didn't care about environment and I didn't know anything about it. But after I was invited to the environment club, I now know a lot more about the Palestinian nature and how to protect this nature, and about climate change and how to reduce the effects of climate change too. And we talk a lot about how nature is so important.
Okay, great. Have you been able to visit the EEC in Beit Jala?
Yes, I've been there, and that's the headquarters of our club.
That's wonderful. I know that the environmental club is the EEC is not just in the Lutheran schools. Actually, I believe you guys do things in all over Palestine. Is that correct?
I'm not so sure about that, but I think that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And what was this? Wasn't the School of Hope? Didn't they participate in an environmental competition recently? Were you involved in that?
I don't think so.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit more about climate change and how that might affect life in Palestine?
As we see during the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, they burn tires, and tires, after they burned, they produce a lot of CO2, which can break the ozone layer that protects Earth from the bad sun the degrees.
Okay, yeah, the global warming,
Yeah.
I think we call it. Great. Okay, thank you, Nimud. And can you tell me a little bit, one more question, how do these activities help you reform yourself? Or what do you get out of these activities?
As I said earlier, I didn't know anything about environmental protection. Now I know a lot more about it, and I even teach family members and friends about it too.
Okay, shukran, Nimud. All right, Emil, question to you.
Yeah, okay. I participate in church and scouts, and I used to join summer camps. And it helped me a lot for remaking and refixing things, like the school books, for example. Here in Palestine, the Palestinians study for only tests. They don't study for like to understand in the life. They only study for tests, not to understand in life. And that's pretty bad and it's not going to help you. Because imagine like a thief came to rob you in your house. Now there's a book, like for example, that taught you how what to do if there was a robbery. Like call the police, lock the doors, and so. Now, if you just studied this thing only because for the tests, you're not gonna remember anything if it happened to you in real life. That happened to me a lot, but not the thief. It happened to me like a lot of things. There was like laws, some things, and I forgot them in real life because I only studied it for tests. And I'm also in Scouts, and in Scout they taught me how to fix tents.
Oh, great. So I used to be in Scouts too here. Do you like to go camping or what do the Scouts do in Palestine?
Yeah, they go camp. There's like some other Scouts. They're not mean, but they just come to make your camping miserable. Like they throw eggs at you. They do a lot of nasty things.
Okay, and when that happens, how do you deal with it? How do you manage the other Scouts that are?
Yeah, so there are teams. There are teams that protect our flag, and there are teams that protect the tents. There are teams that sleep in the tents and don't care. And we do shifting, you know. Some Scouts go and protect, some Scouts stay in the tents. Yeah. So
Okay.
I usually protect, but I don't like be thrown eggs at me, you know.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Okay, thank you, Jamil. Okay, I think I'm going to move on to our next question. So the name of our organization is Opportunity Palestine. So if you could be given any opportunity, what would it be? Another way to answer this question would be, what are your dreams for the future? I think I'll go with Nimr first.
So I think that I want to be a part of the Reformation, because we need it in almost all of our life aspects, as to move to society that rejects violence, discrimination, and I think the Opportunity Palestine could give me a chance, so I can lead these changes.
Thank you. Do you have any things that you really want to do? Do you want to become do you want to have a certain job? Some people say doctor, some people say politician. Are there any career dreams that you have, Nimud?
I'm not really sure, but for now, I really want to do something in the technology scene.
Okay, you like technology and okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask Mirna next. So Mirna, can you tell us if you could be given any opportunity, what would it be?
I believe in human rights, and that's everyone has a right to live in dignity. So if I had the opportunity, I will try as much as possible to increase awarenesses about Palestine and Palestinians, Christians, that the challenges they face socially, politically, and religiously.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, Ayman? I think it
We
wasn't
lost
so
you.
clear.
I think you have a net problem, Ayman, if you can hear us.
Okay, I think I just lost my internet there. Am I back? Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
He was
So,
saying something to me.
right, yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about the challenges that the Palestinian Christian community face?
Like racist, like when you be Christians and Muslims, between them racist.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's some tension sometimes.
Yes.
Okay.
About the challenges they face, not really. I don't know about anything about the challenges we face in Palestine, but I think like the most of them are from Muslims and Christians.
Okay. And if you had, do you have any dreams for the future, Mirna?
I want to be in human rights, to help people, especially the Palestinians.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe study human rights law or
yes, human rights
like
law,
that.
to help Palestinian people to solve their problems, because now nothing are solved for them.
Yeah, I understand. So I wish you continue in that pursuit. I think it's very important. And I myself have also studied human rights, and it's difficult sometimes, but it's in the end it pays off. So and then okay, so I think the last student here is Jamil. Jamil, can you tell us if you could be given any opportunity, what would it be?
Yeah. So it's probably going to be opportunity working with people with disabilities. And in the future, my dream is to be a soccer player. And how am I going to help people with disabilities? So I have a talent in soccer, and why not use it? So when I play in teams, teams are going to pay me to join them and play with them. So when they pay me money, I'm not going to spend it on material things like jewelry, for example, jewelry, yeah, and other material things. I'm going to help people with disabilities, like people that have cancers, and donate this money to charities.
Okay, wonderful, Jamil. That's very honorable of you. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go on to our next question, which is about education. So education is, in a sense, a process of inner transformation and reformation. Why is education important to you? I'm gonna go back to Pastor Rodney for this one. Welcome.
Thank you. So yeah, Education and education. Education actually is a very important thing for Palestinians because through education, we are able to change. We can change. We can rise up and not be silenced. So if we want to change the unjust reality that we are living in right now, we should not stop learning. As you said, education is an inner transformation. Martin Luther himself, he was well educated. That's why he was able to change. He knew that things were not right. He knew the Bible. He thought that that was not there. So he was able to change. He read, he was well educated, so he was able. Here in Palestine, as a pastor, I speak a lot to young adults. And it's really hard when I speak to them and they tell me about how hard it is to not find opportunities, how hard it is to just be 20 years old or 19 years old and working in a field that they don't want to work in, or they can't find anything that can be good for them. But through education, I have to say that we don't have a lot of opportunities here in Palestine. We fight over opportunities, but through education, we can actually open more opportunities. We can have more opportunities to get to a point where we can make difference in our lives. So we can open opportunities through education. Here in Palestine, through the last 20, 30 years or more, we learned how powerful education is. Because that's the only key where we can change. A lot of the times, I would say a person that, I don't like the word enemies, but on the other side, they're always scared of the person who's well educated because they know well. And that's why here in Palestine, people want to be more educated so they can open more windows of hope. I remember a few years ago when I first graduated from high school, I remember I attended Bethlehem University, and I was actually surprised that I think it was 70% of the students at the university, they were females. And that actually shows you how much Palestinian women, they want also to be educated so they can rise and change the situation they are living in, so they can find more opportunities and say that we want to change, we want to be equal, and we can make a difference in the Palestinian society. So young adults understand really well now how important education, and they continue because we can, through education, we get a better future, we get an educated generation after generation, and that's our hope that this education system will change the hard reality that we are living through.
Thank you. So I know that Palestinians are one of actually the most educated people in the world, according to UN statistics. Mirna, can you tell us why education is important to you?
Education is very important for any society. Why is education important to me? Because as a Palestinian and a female living in conservative society, education is a key for self-development and building my identity and my future.
Thank you. Shamil, can you tell us what education means to you?
Yes. So this education is really important to me. It's about fixing our society and government by having a law, for example. Not just a law, reform and refix anything that bothers you, to make life easier for you and other people as well. And inner transformation is about turning you from a bad person to a good person. Anything negative that you used to do, stop it, for example, like drugs, smoking, and disobeying the law. And that's how you form yourself.
Okay, thank you, Jamil. And Nimr, can you tell us why education is important to you?
Yes, of course. In a part, I don't see Palestinian education mentioning reform that much. And as a student, I know that students are a big part of the Palestinian population, and they are the future of the Palestinians. So if they knew more about reform and what is reform and how reform helps us, and how can we free Palestine with reform, they might be interested in reform and they will want to educate themselves about it. And that's why I see Palestinian education is needing to mention about reform a lot nowadays. And it's super important because first, after knowing about reform, you have to change yourself. And after changing yourself, you have to accept these changes.
Mhm. That's very insightful, Nimrod. I agree. Once you are aware of something, then you have to try to change it, and that process takes time, but it's worth it. So we have about 10-ish minutes now for audience questions. So I want to encourage any questions from the audience. You can put them in the chat box. We actually really like to encourage our audience, our supporters, our donors to interact with the students and vice versa. So if you'd like to turn on your camera and ask a question, you're also welcome to do that. So do we have any audience members who would like to ask a question of any of our students here? I know that Tamara mentioned that when she was a student, she never really knew who Opportunity Palestine was. She knew there were these people supporting the schools, but she didn't actually get to know them. So this is an opportunity, not just for our audience to get to know our students, but vice versa for our students to get to know our audience. Any questions? Anything that came up? Hot button topics you want to ask? Anything? Let's see. Okay. Do I see Rod's gonna ask a question? I can't see. Maybe he's muted. Oh, okay, great. So the question is have any of the students read Tamar's book? So students, as you know, Tamar recently published a book. Okay, Nimr is saying no. Jamil, have you read her book? Mirna, no. So I guess we need to get that book into your classrooms. Dean is asking the students, what is the most difficult about living in Palestine? Yes, Jamil?
The most difficult about living in Palestine is probably the Israeli military, because every Palestinian in his house and inside of him, inside of his heart, is scared, because you never know when they are going to throw rockets on you, when are they going to do anything, when they are going to let you get out of your house. You don't know anything, so that's why you're a bit worried, even though you don't live like near the military base, but you're still worried, and that's the difficulty to live in Palestine. And not just the Israeli military, also the Palestinian people. If they are not educated really well, they just treat you like not good. They talk to you in negative things, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jamil. And I know that especially right now, the situation is very difficult. So you guys are in our prayers. Okay, Mirna or Nimr, did you want to answer that question? What is most difficult about living in Palestine?
Yes, can I?
Of course.
As a Palestinian, I always feel stressed about what's going to happen tomorrow, because now you can say that's not that normal, but it's kind of usual that they will just go on in a town and just start shooting at people. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can have plans that what we're going to do tomorrow, but suddenly we cannot do any of them, because they will just break in or do anything. They can just tell us not to, and we will listen as Palestinians, because we are the less powerful people. They have guns. They are have the most powerful countries on their side, so they can do whatever they want, and we have to listen.
Yeah, that's a difficult situation, Nimir, living under occupation. So thank you for sharing. Mirna, did you want to answer that question?
I don't want to talk about occupation. I want to talk about a female, being a female in Palestine. It's hard because you can't work anything you want. You can do anything you want. You have to be strict with your parents. You can do anything you want. You have to get a agree from anyone to do anything you want. Because I'm the female from the two boys here, like I go in some things that they didn't even experience it.
Okay, thank you.
In
Yeah.
here for the Muslim societies, so you can go in the shorts, you can go with like t-shirt, you have to hide your hair. Like it's so difficult for us being like, like being talked with like an awful way from boys, being like we are better than you. It's different for us.
Yeah, so harassment and discrimination. Sounds difficult, Mirna. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to end on a little lighter question. What do you guys like to do for fun? You can answer this one too, Pastor Rodney.
I like to do many things for fun, but yeah, I like to sing. I like to hang out. I like to do many things. Like to read. I like to read the news. I don't think that's fun, but it's fun for me. I like to learn new things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm I read the news, I think too much for my own good, but Jamil, do you want to share what you like to do for fun?
Yes, of course. So there is like plenty of things I love to do for fun, but like top 5, let's say, play music, play the piano, read a book, read the Bible, sometimes be on your phone, yeah, and a lot of things, play soccer. There's a lot of things.
Okay, thank you, Jamil. And Nimir or Mirna?
Can I?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
As I said earlier, I really like stuff in the technology scene. So I'm always updated on the technology news and stuff like this. I really like to learn about computers as knowing what's the best parts in the market, how much do they cost, and how can I build a PC? What PCs are better than others? And stuff like this. And for fun, I really like playing on computers and playing online games. I feel like they are a safe environment for me, and I really feel enjoyment while I'm playing them.
Okay, and Mirna, did you want to share with us?
Yes, for me, I have a small puppet. It's a gift from someone who told me this puppet's for you to tell kids about God. and I go to different church to tell some kids about God. I know so many stories about Bibles, and I go to church to tell people about God in my puppet. It's like it's a fun way for kids, and they love it. I volunteer. I love volunteering in church. Last year, I volunteered in the church. I was translating from English to Arabic for kids that don't know English or Arabic.
Okay, thank you, Mirna. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. We did want the audience to consider some of these questions for themselves as well, perhaps after you leave the webinar. We're getting some comments for you students for what you shared, and here for sharing with us about your lives. You, of course, as well, Pastor Rodney. Okay, can you go to the next slide, Sam? So we really want to encourage you guys to stay connected with Opportunity Palestine. And you can do that by visiting our website, following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also have a mailing list through MailChimp. So you can send us an email or a message if you'd like to get on our mailing list. To give money to us, which we really encourage, because all the money that we raise goes to directly support student scholarships. You can go to this link in the chat. On our website, the secure online giving link is not working right now. So please go to the link in the chat or support the schools on our website. Yeah, every dollar you contribute makes a difference in the lives of these students. So please prayerfully consider that, especially as we get to the end of the year and for tax purposes and whatnot. Okay, so I have one more opportunity we wanted to announce for our audience members. We will be sponsoring a trip to the Holy Land in February 2023 that will be visiting some of these schools that we talked about in this webinar and meeting some of these students. So if you'd like to join for the trip, you can send a message to the email and the slide, which I just put in the chat as well. We have some spots left in the trip. It's going to be a very unique trip, not just the traditional pilgrimage of Jesus's ministry, but the modern day reality, the living stones of the Holy Land is how we're talking about the trip. So if you know anyone that would like to join, please reach out, and please reach out to us. So I need to thank everyone involved in this webinar, the production, to, of course, our student speakers, Nimir, Mirna, Jamil, and Tamar for helping produce the webinar, even though she wasn't able to moderate it, Pastor Rodney, Ava, of course, Maddie, who made the video and took the photos, Dr. Charlie, Tony, Georgette, Ruba, Opportunity Palestine's board, and the staff of the ELCJHL schools. Of course, I have to thank my colleague Sam E, who's behind all of the tech here. You didn't really see her very much, but she's just as much a part of this, if not more, than me. So thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you for our next webinar sometime around the beginning of December for our annual Advent Giving campaign. So please consider joining us for our next webinar. And in the meantime, stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and your time.
Of course.
Every minute of it.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you,
It's great.
everyone.
Thank
Good
you
job,
so much.
everybody.
Mirna, Nimer and Jamil, you did great. I'm so proud of you. You just did great.
Yeah, you guys were amazing.
Beautiful character and personalities, right?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all. Great show.